A pure dragon's roar emanated from Lin Dong and echoed across the heavens and earth as a dazzling azure light enveloped his body. A powerful aura began to spread. Dragon Clan martial arts? Luo Tong's eyes flickered with a trace of surprise upon hearing such a dragon's roar, but he quickly shook his head slightly. No wonder this kid was so arrogant. He had been practicing the martial arts of the Dragon Clan. But did he really think that would qualify him to act so presumptuously before Luo Tong? Even a true elder of the Dragon Clan wouldn't dare be so arrogant in front of me today. So how does a mere human who practices Dragon Clan martial arts get the right? Luo Tong sneered mockingly, his gaze turning colder. He clenched his large hand, and majestic primordial energy condensed in the sky like a tide. In mere breaths, it transformed into a massive radiant light feather, its edges serrated, causing the space around it to tremble as it shimmered. With a flick of his finger, the dangerous light feather shot out, piercing through the void, and viciously aimed toward Lin Dong. Boom! Seeing Luo Tong launch his attack, Lin Dong let out a cold snort in his mind. He stomped his foot heavily, and as the platform shook, a radiant azure light erupted. Azure dragon patterns surged from within his body. 300 patterns. In an instant, an astonishing number of 300 azure dragon patterns had formed. With Lin Dong's current advanced strength, his azure sky transforming dragon technique had reached a new height. Now he could independently gather 300 azure dragon patterns, unlike the past when he needed the power of the great desolation scripture during his fight with Hua Chun in the Flame God Temple. Against an opponent as formidable as Luo Tong, whose strength far surpassed Hua Chin's, Lin Dong dared not underestimate. Regardless of the disparity, Luo Tong's strength exceeded his own. So Lin Dong knew he had to fight with all his might. Boom! With 300 azure dragon patterns whistling, Lin Dong took a decisive step forward and punched fiercely. With no frills, he unleashed a terrifying force capable of destroying a mountain effortlessly. The overwhelming air pressure from this power caused the skies to crack, and the 300 azure dragon patterns merged into a clawing azure dragon tearing through the sky, crashing violently against the radiant and sharp light feather. Bang! A shocking explosion reverberated, and the mighty shockwave swept across, creating a storm throughout the heavens and earth, stripping layers of soil from the ground below. Countless eyes watched, filled with gravity. This clash was truly astounding. A return gift. As the radiant light began to fade from the platform, Lin Dong reappeared, enveloped in azure light. He stared at Luo Tong and sneered, slamming his fist into the ground. Boom! A 1,000-foot-long crack extended like a giant serpent, instantly reaching Luo Tong's feet. Azure light erupted like a volcano, and an azure dragon moved to swallow Luo Tong whole. Too small of a gesture. Luo Tong's eyes turned icy. Without any visible movement, a brilliant shockwave exploded from his body, shattering the azure dragon. The power of the reincarnation stage was extraordinary, and even with Lin Dong's improved strength, the ferocious attack was easily deflected by Luo Tong. Swish! However, just as the azure dragon shattered, a ghostly figure appeared before Luo Tong, followed by the sound of thunder. A spear, crackling with lightning, pierced toward Luo Tong's throat with ruthless precision. Humph! Unfazed by the fierce attack, Luo Tong snorted coldly. His fingers extended, and a spread of radiant light transformed into another light feather, which blocked the piercing lightning spear. Clang, clang, clang. With his attack thwarted, Lin Dong moved, transforming into swift shadows. Spear shadows danced, aiming for every vital point on Luo Tong. A ferocious assault enough to kill any great completion expert of the death mystique stage. Ting, ting, ting. Crisp sounds continuously rang out on the platform. The crowd could only see a blurred figure whirling around Luo Tong like a vortex, as countless sharp spear shadows burst forth. Yet every time they were about to strike Luo Tong, radiant light feathers would appear, blocking them effortlessly. One man attacked like a relentless storm, while the other stood as steady as a mountain, rendering all assaults void. Is this the extent of your attacks? You can't even break my defense, yet you dare challenge me? Ignoring the mocking words directed at him, Lin Dong intensified his assault, growing more ferocious by the moment. Yet, none noticed that as Lin Dong's focus sharpened, his bones began to shift slowly, reminiscent of an ancient dragon awakening from a millennia-old slumber. With a sharp ding, Luo Tong extended 2 fingers and caught the spear tip, halting it mid-motion. His fingertips shimmered with radiant light, rendering the spear immobile. "A fool who overestimates himself," Luo Tong sneered coldly, his eyes fixed on the figure gripping the other end of the spear. However, his confidence wavered slightly when he noticed the young man's eyes, once as dark as night, now glowing with a chilling purple-golden hue. In a blur, Lin Dong's figure suddenly flickered closer to Luo Tong, delivering a fierce palm strike. With a mighty roar, Lin Dong's internal primordial dragon bones trembled, unleashing a tremendous force. 300 dragon patterns surged from within him, transforming from azure to a pure, intense purple gold. As the 300 purple-golden dragon patterns erupted with an intimidating roar, their power far exceeded Lin Dong's previous azure dragon light patterns, intensified by the primordial dragon bones enhancement. The space in front of Lin Dong ripped open with a massive black fissure, and only then did Luo Tong's expression shift, realizing that Lin Dong's power had multiplied several times over. 9 Phoenix Heavenly Feather Shield. Luo Tong shouted, manifesting a shield of light feathers swirling with thick life and death energy, offering formidable defense. Yet, Lin Dong's offensive did not falter. The purple-golden glow in his eyes intensified as the roar of the primordial dragon bones within him transformed into vast power, reinforcing his strike. The deeply enriched purple-golden dragon palm struck the feather shield heavily. Upon impact, everyone's hearts shuddered violently before an indescribable wave of energy burst forth, collapsing the enormous platform beneath them in an instant. Amid the shockwave, countless eyes fixed on the point of collision. Suddenly, a silhouette shot back several miles from the energy blast's epicenter, barely regaining composure before hitting the ground. A look of shock spread through the crowd as they recognized the figure. Luo Tong himself had almost been brought to defeat. Such a powerful guy. Some exchanged glances, sensing the collective astonishment. To breach a reincarnation stage fighter's defense using only the peak of the great completion of the Death Mystique stage required terrifying strength. The two from Thunder Abyss Mountain are not to be trifled with. Lin Dong's figure appeared midair, his aura fully transformed into a brilliant purple gold. It gathered behind him to form the massive apparition of an endless purple-golden dragon, glaring frostily at every living being below. The oppressive aura from Lin Dong's body made breathing difficult for many strong individuals. No one could fathom why such a pure and potent dragon's aura, usually exclusive to the dragon clan's elite, would emanate from a human. Even the top-level dragon practitioners could not compare. Feng Ting and his company wore somber expressions, clearly perceiving the dangerous aura Lin Dong exuded. A light cough from the sky interrupted as the slightly disheveled Luo Tong wiped a trace of blood from his mouth. Looking up at Lin Dong in the distance, he cracked an insidious smile, violence and murderous intent brimming in his gaze. "I've given you too much credit, didn't expect to suffer a setback here." When the final words fell, Luo Tong's eyes gradually filled with a brilliant light. An astonishing intent to kill began to surge. With a sudden clench of his palm, he summoned a shocking scene. The bodies of Ting Feng and his 3 companions trembled, and 4 light pillars shot out, landing beside Luo Tong. The 4 elephant immortal suppressing pillars were now fully under his control. Clearly, Luo Tong was preparing to unleash his ultimate weapon. The 4 pillars hovered around Luo Tong, emitting a formidable pressure. Previously, just a single 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillar had been enough to defeat the Golden Ape Demon Commander and his partner. Now, with all 4 gathered, the true power of the pillars would be revealed. This kid actually forced Luo Tong to use the complete set of 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillars. Tung Feng and his group watched with serious expressions, followed by a cold laugh. The fight was likely to have a predictable outcome now. Even from afar, The faces of the heavenly dragon demon commander and his allies turned grim at this sight. Luo Tong's strength already far surpassed Lin Dong's. To deal with him, he even resorted to using the complete set of the pillars. Don't worry, Big Brother won't go down so easily. Contrary to the tense expressions of the heavenly dragon demon commander's group, little Yin remained calm, displaying an almost blind trust in Lin Dong. Even he was aware of the tremendous power of their opponent. The heavenly dragon demon commander and his group exchanged glances, their anxiety slightly eased. Lin Dong's abilities, especially after the last 2 months, seemed to have improved significantly even from when he dared to confront the heavenly dragon demon commander head-on. Under countless gazes, Luo Tong's face was calm, but his eyes sparked with a cold light as he stared at Lin Dong, clenching his hand. Boom! The 4 light pillars rapidly merged together under Luo Tong's grip, transforming into a massive stone pillar of 4 colors. Coiled with the light of the 4 elephants, it emanated a tremendously powerful aura, far stronger than a single pillar. Let's end this. Luo Tong's gaze was as sharp as a blade as it pierced through Lin Dong. Without a word to spare, he waved his sleeve, sending the condensed 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillar roaring forth. Winds and thunder echoed. An invisible pressure spread, enveloping Lin Dong and locking him in place as if he was trapped in a prison. With its release, the 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillar displayed astonishing power. Lin Dong, with eyes of purple-gold brilliance, fixed his gaze on the incoming 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillar. Surprisingly, despite facing an attack that could defeat an average revolution stage warrior, he showed no panic, only a faint hint of peculiarity. Relics of the ancients, huh? His lips subtly moved, followed by a mysterious smile. Impressive as such relics are, they don't hold much sway over me. As his words fell, Lin Dong extended his palm. Light gathered within it, revealing a miniature palace that appeared, spreading an unusual wave. This miniature palace was none other than the Xuantian Palace, ranked 10th among the relics of the ancients. Buzz. As the Xuantian Palace emerged, a humming sound burst forth. The palace began to expand swiftly, transforming into a colossal structure within moments. The massive doors creaked open slowly. When the palace doors opened, the advancing 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillar emitted chaotic waves. Luo Tong's face shifted, unease creeping into his heart. Boom! Finally, the Xuantian Palace fully opened, unleashing thousands of rays of light. These rays transformed into countless chains that wrapped around the explosive 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillar. Buzz. The chains wrapped around it caused the previously rampant power of the pillar to mysteriously dissipate, as though the peculiar rays were suppressing its strength. This scene left countless people astonished. They initially thought that after Luo Tong summoned the 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillars, the battle would conclude swiftly. But who could have expected such a bizarre turn of events? Luo Tong's complexion changed dramatically. He could feel that as the 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillars drew closer to the Xuantian Palace, his control over them weakened. Using an ancient relic ranked below the Xuantian Palace in front of it is not a wise move, Lin Dong remarked with a smile at the furious Luo Tong. His hand movements shifted, and the glow entangled around the 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillars began to writhe before transforming into peculiar runes. As these runes formed, Luo Tong's control over the pillars was instantly severed. Whoosh! With the control stripped away, the 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillars could no longer struggle. Enveloped in radiant light, they shot forward and, under countless stunned gazes, disappeared into the Xuantian Palace. Creak! The gates of the Xuantian Palace closed, the glow faded, and it shrank back to palm size and landed in Lin Dong's hand. Yet, it trembled slightly, clearly exerting effort to suppress the newly acquired pillars. Hee, thanks for the gift, Lin Dong said with a bright smile, as he made the Xuantian Palace disappear from his hand. He looked at Luo Tong, who was still somewhat dazed. The entire plain fell silent, with Feng Ting and others watching dumbfounded. This outcome was unexpectedly comical. Had Lin Dong just seized the 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillars like that? The Xuantian Palace possesses the ability to refine divine relics and suppress others ranked below it. It's surprising that Lin Dong has mastered the control of Xuantian Palace to such an extent. The Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander and others were equally shocked. They knew a bit about the Xuantian Palace, but using it to suppress and collect other powerful ancient relics required an astounding level of control, which Lin Dong seemed to possess after merely 2 months. However, those unaware of Lin Dong's connection with the spirit of Xuantian Palace did not realize that he did not need to exert much control. The previous capture was entirely the palace's doing, with Lin Dong merely guiding it. The 4-elephant immortal suppressing pillars were not weak, and while they were now in the possession of the Xuantian Palace, the latter had to put in great effort to suppress them. Consequently, Lin Dong would be unable to use the palace's power for some time. In the sky, Luo Tong, initially in a daze, gradually came to his senses. His face turned an ashen blue, his body trembling slightly with immense rage. Such cunning tricks! You surely have many? Luo Tong glared at Lin Dong, a murderous intent rising like a flood within him. Lin Dong's actions had caused immense disgrace. Boom! Violent killing intent surged from Luo Tong, and suddenly, a dazzling 9-colored light erupted from his body. In the sky behind him, the light coalesced into a giant spectral figure, with 9 colossal, multicolored tails gently swinging. As the tails swayed, the primordial energy in the surroundings went wild. What an annoying fellow. Do you really think my belongings are so easy to steal? Luo Tong's gaze was icy as he slowly extended 2 fingers and pointed at Lin Dong from afar. Lin Dong watched, eyes narrowed, as an indescribable feeling of danger enveloped him. 9 Phoenix Transformation Radiance. Luo Tong's voice, chilling and murderous, echoed through the sky. The 9-colored light rapidly converged at his fingertips, and in the next moment, a 9-colored beam pierced the void, roaring toward Lin Dong. Roar! Lin Dong's pores tightened as he ejected himself backward. 300 violet gold dragon patterns surged forward to fiercely collide with the 9-colored beam. Screech! The 2 fierce attacks clashed, but to Lin Dong's shock, the formidable power contained within the 300 dragon patterns was entirely dissolved by the 9-colored beam, as if snow encountered molten lava. This 9-colored beam was terrifyingly powerful. Lin Dong pushed his speed to the extreme, continuously retreating, yet the beam relentlessly pursued him. Lin Dong made a sharp turn, the 9-colored light beam following him closely. As he turned, another ray of 9-colored light scattered, striking a distant onlooker. Instantly, the onlooker, a strong individual with great completion of the death mystique stage, vaporized into thin air without a chance to scream. The sight left countless spectators horrified. Our 9 Phoenix clan is born with 9-colored light. Where it shines, even the slightest touch turns flesh to dust. Luo Tong sneered at Lin Dong, who was dodging frantically, with a sinister grin on his face. Let's see where you, this little mouse, can hide today. Purple gold light enveloped Lin Dong's body, and his expression was grave. Luo Tong's methods made him sense acute danger. The revolution stage was indeed far beyond the death mystique stage. Despite Lin Dong's powerful abilities, he found it extremely difficult to cope. Let's see if your 9 Phoenix Transformation Radiance can disintegrate my primordial dragon bones. In yet another round of chase, Lin Dong, seeing he still couldn't shake off the 9-colored light beam, finally showed a fierce determination. He suddenly stopped and, without hesitation, launched a punch as Luo Tong's sinister smile widened, directly smashing onto the 9-colored light beam. Hiss! The 9-colored light beam, in an instant, engulfed Lin Dong under the whitened faces of the Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander and others. The 9-colored light spread across the sky like a tide, causing even the primordial energy of heaven and earth to bizarrely dissipate as though turned to nothingness by the light. Countless people watched the sky with heavy hearts and a touch of trepidation in their eyes. This type of attack from Luo Tong was formidable enough to cost even a revolution stage expert dearly. Yet, Lin Dong dared to confront it head-on, an act of brazen audacity. To be struck by the 9 Phoenix Transformation Radiance. Tung Feng and others watched this unfold, joy and fierceness surfacing on their faces. They were well aware of the terrifying power of the Nine Phoenix Transformation Radiance, a unique skill of the Nine Phoenix clan. It was said that in ancient times, a supreme expert of the clan used it to wipe out all life within thousands of miles, turning them to nothingness. The Nine Phoenix Transformation Radiance didn't possess pure destructive power. It wouldn't even create a crater on the ground. But as soon as it touched a body with flesh and blood, it would immediately turn it into nothingness. This eerie ultimate skill was always the most formidable technique of the Nine Phoenix clan, striking fear even among peers of the same level. Witnessing Lin Dong being hit head-on, they couldn't imagine him surviving. While Ting Feng and the others felt ecstatic, the faces of the heavenly dragon demon commander and others were pale, and even little Yan's hands clenched tightly, his gaze sharp. They had also heard of the fearsome power of the Nine Phoenix Transformation Radiance. The entire sky fell silent. Countless eyes focused on the densest point of the nine-colored radiance, awaiting the outcome of the clash, which was about to be revealed. Luo Tong hovered in midair, a vast light shadow undulating behind him. His face was icily cruel as he stared ahead, a faint sinister smile playing on his lips. He couldn't believe Lin Dong could survive such a feared attack, one that even Revolution stage experts dreaded. Some skills and you're being arrogant. In your next life, learn some humility. Luo Tong sneered mockingly, but his words abruptly stopped as a look of shock crossed his cold face. Hiss! The nine-colored radiance began dissipating at an alarming speed. As it faded, in the core of that light emerged a lean silhouette, once more casting countless incredulous gazes. Buzz! A low humming eruption spread across the expanse like a locust swarm, shattering the previously quiet land. How can it be? Tung Feng and others were equally stupefied. Did he withstand it? The heavenly dragon demon commander and others murmured in disbelief. However, it seems he took heavy damage. All eyes focused on the figure, still maintaining the posture with an extended right hand, without visible blood on the body. Yet, his right arm was bare, stripped of all flesh, revealing a jade-white, shining bone arm. Clearly, the Nine Phoenix Transformation Radiance inflicted significant harm on Lin Dong. Tung Feng and his companions were utterly astonished. The previous attack from Luo Tong clearly wasn't supposed to have just this effect. Based on their expectations, Lin Dong should have been reduced to nothing but bones by now. Moreover, they saw it clearly, Lin Dong's arm was still there. This meant that Luo Tong's Nine Phoenix Transformation Radiance merely melted the flesh and blood off Lin Dong's arm. Such an injury, while severe, wasn't much to a true strongman. The vitality in their bodies could regenerate even broken bones, not to mention some flesh and blood. Luo Tong's expression darkened as he struggled to believe that Lin Dong had only lost the flesh of an arm after enduring his Nine Phoenix Transformation Radiance. It truly is painful. Lin Dong's raspy voice emerged, low and deep. He slowly raised his head, his face imbued with an astonishing coldness. Although the power of the primordial dragon bones allowed him to withstand Luo Tong's deadly move, the excruciating pain from losing the flesh of an arm was terrifying. He knew that without the primordial dragon bones, Luo Tong's attack would have seriously wounded him. Lin Dong glared fiercely at Luo Tong, whose expression was shifting. In his eyes, a trace of fierce malevolence began to climb and surge. Boom! The ferocity in his eyes intensified to the extreme, and Lin Dong's figure transformed into a ray of light, barreling forward. The killing intent permeated the air, causing the temperature to plummet. In that moment, he seemed like a slaughtering god descending, with his fleshless skeletal arm only adding to the brutality of the scene. Roar! A low dragon's roar erupted from within Lin Dong, an invisible and ancient anger enveloping the land. This anger did not originate from Lin Dong, but from the primordial dragon bones within him. As the most powerful dragon bones within the dragon clan, they too possessed an arrogance. The Nine Phoenix Transformation Radiance was formidable, but not enough to challenge its supremacy. Luo Tong watched the aggressive and imposing Lin Dong approach, his eyes turning cold. His hands moved, forming seals, and behind him, the multicolored light grew even more dazzling. I refuse to believe that the 9 Phoenix transformation radiance of my 9 Phoenix clan can't deal with a mere human. Luo Tong's voice, tinged with angry laughter, echoed. Faced with the tenacious Lin Dong, his temper flared into true fury. If he couldn't even handle Lin Dong today, what right did he have to call himself a part of the 9 Phoenix clan? 9 Phoenix's pilgrimage. Luo Tong's hand seals changed and his face gradually became devout. Then, to everyone's astonishment, he bowed mid-air, as though in a sacred ritual. An ancient screeching sound resonated from within Luo Tong. Behind him, 9 dazzling, colorful tails swayed as a colossal 9-colored giant bird, exuding an endlessly noble aura, emerged. As the 9-colored giant bird appeared, it beat its radiant wings, condensing a vast swath of 9-colored light. Wherever it flew, the space itself was torn apart. Brilliant beams of light filled the air, reeking of death. Lin Dong looked up at the 9-colored giant bird charging at him. Under its gleaming light, waves of intense pain struck his body, with blood seeping from his skin and signs that his flesh might melt. But despite these changes, Lin Dong showed no sign of retreat. He understood clearly. There was no way back. Luo Tong's intent was murderous. Any hesitation in his resolve, and he wouldn't survive. Thus, he could only fight death to seek life. Roar. Inside Lin Dong, his bones quivered strangely under the threat of death. A jade light burst forth through his flesh, the ancient and domineering dragon roar echoing. The jade light shrouded his body, forming the visage of an ancient dragon glittering with jade light. The dragon coiled in the air, radiating an indescribable majesty that bent everyone low, as if this jade dragon were the sovereign of the entire demon realm. This imposing aura. The heavenly dragon demon commander stared at the jade dragon behind Lin Dong, his body shaking violently, his voice trembling. Primordial dragon bones? The words finally slipped from his mouth, filled with immense astonishment and even horror. He had thought Lin Dong's acquisition of ancient dragon bones was impressive, but he never imagined Lin Dong didn't just obtain any dragon bones. He had acquired the most powerful primordial dragon bones within the dragon clan. The bones once possessed by the super being who once ruled the demon realm. The jade dragon coiled and then soared forth, colliding fiercely with the 9-colored giant bird amidst countless shocked gazes. Boom! A deafening explosion reverberated across the sky, as 9-colored radiance and jade brilliance intertwined madly, eroding each other. Their contact even warped the very space. Everyone stared in amazement at the intense entanglement. None had anticipated the battle between these two to be so deadlocked. Luo Tong's eyes reddened as he observed the chaos. He laughed angrily. Lin Dong, your tricks are impressive, but no matter what, you're just at the great completion of the death mystique stage. Do you dare compare your primordial energy to my revolution stage prowess? Foolhardy. The entwined lights were rapidly draining both combatant strength, an area that was Lin Dong's weakness. His combat power was undoubtedly strong, but in terms of sustained endurance, he couldn't match Luo Tong's wellspring of energy. Let's end this quickly. Amidst the weaving light, a voice laced with icy killing intent suddenly emerged, and then Lin Dong darted out from the jade dragon's embrace, appearing under the glow of the 9-colored light. Sizzle. Under the radiance, Lin Dong's flesh rapidly melted away, exposing jade-colored bones in just a few breaths. Whoosh. Yet, Lin Dong seemed indifferent to the melting of his flesh. The pain from his body transformed into wrath, filling his eyes, and his figure, ghost-like, appeared right before Luo Tong. Humph! Witnessing Lin Dong's fearsome form, Luo Tong's gaze turned cold. Without hesitation, his hand shot out like a bird pecking a snake, enveloped in 9-colored light, aiming straight for Lin Dong's heart. Boom! Lin Dong, with a grim face, didn't evade at all. His crystalline skeletal hand, uncovered by flesh, extended directly outwards like a knife. Rip! Where the bone hand passed, it seemed to even tear through space. In the next moment, the bone hand collided with Luo Tong's claw wind. The nine-colored light, which could melt flesh, shone upon the jade bones but failed to have any effect. The bone hand tore through the nine-colored brilliance effortlessly. The two figures crossed each other. In the sky, the massive bird and jade dragon suddenly froze before exploding with a thunderous bang. Countless eyes focused intently on the two figures, hearts racing as they pondered who emerged stronger from the prior lethal clash. The two figures stood back to back. A gentle breeze blew, stirring their clothing. Suddenly, the sound of bones shattering pierced the air, causing many to narrow their pupils drastically. They saw one of the figures' arms explode, and the body stumbled back as if struck, finally crashing to the ground, causing the earth to collapse instantly. The battle had a victor. The earth trembled, collapsing steadily. Within moments, a great black hole, thousands of feet wide, appeared in the plain below. Its vast fissures spread like a spider's web. Countless onlookers stared at this scene, their hearts pounding wildly before they suddenly lifted their gazes to the one figure remaining standing in the sky. That slender and battered figure was Lin Dong. Yet, at the moment, Lin Dong looked extremely wretched. His arms had been stripped of flesh, leaving just bare bone, and patches of jade skeleton were exposed all over his body, with more than half of his flesh missing. Luckily, Lin Dong's internal organs were safeguarded by the primordial dragon bones, preventing them from being eroded by the 9 Phoenix transformation radiance. Nonetheless, his injuries were severe. He gasped for breath, ragged and disordered, his body still shivering slightly from the excruciating pain of melting flesh, his once sharp aura now severely diminished. The purple-gold luster faded from his eyes. The toll of this fierce battle was immense for him. Luo Tong was indeed formidable, and if it weren't for Lin Dong possessing the primordial dragon bones, today's battle would likely have ended in defeat under the 9 Phoenix transformation radiance. A gentle flow of primordial energy circulated within Lin Dong's body, brimming with vitality, slowly mending his severely wounded form. As Lin Dong worked on restoring the parts of his body that had melted away, his eyes, although somewhat dimmed, remained sharp and focused on the massive pit below. According to the rules of the heavenly arena, if someone hits the ground, they lose. So, Luo Tong should have already lost. However, losing doesn't necessarily mean death. Earlier, Lin Dong had fiercely attacked, breaking one of Luo Tong's arms with his bone palm, but such an injury was clearly not enough to kill him. No one could guarantee that this fellow wouldn't go mad with anger and attack again. Facing an enraged super-strong wheel stage expert from the 9 Phoenix clan, even Lin Dong would find it quite challenging. Luo Tong, I know you're not dead. Why are you hiding down there? Lin Dong waited for a while, but seeing no sign of Luo Tong, he let out a cold laugh. Swoosh! Just as Lin Dong's voice fell, countless large stones erupted from the massive pit, and a disheveled figure appeared in the sky. Countless eyes focused on the scene, and they saw Luo Tong covered in blood, with one of his arms severed and bleeding profusely, looking quite miserable. At this moment, Luo Tong's aura was also weakened, indicating he had suffered significant injuries. You. Luo Tong's eyes were bloodshot, shaking with rage as he pointed at Lin Dong. His face was twisted with murderous intent and shame. He could hardly believe he had lost to Lin Dong. He, the esteemed mystic king of the Meng Mountain, had been defeated by a mere human at the great completion of the Death Mystique stage. Lin Dong looked coldly at Luo Tong's menacing face. Despite his severe exhaustion, a faint black thunder light flickered between his bone palms, showing he still had some means. Luo Tong, you've lost. Do you intend to go back on your word in front of so many people? Little Yan's cold shout resounded sharply. He, along with 3 heavenly dragon demon commanders, rushed forward to guard Lin Dong. Swish, swish. As soon as Little Yan and the others moved, Ting Feng and his group, who had been observing the situation, also appeared beside Luo Tong, glaring fiercely at Lin Dong and his companions. Boom. With the leaders of both sides confronting each other, the immense and seemingly endless armies on each side tensed up. Any wrong move would spark a massive war. The onlookers were taken aback by the tense situation. Some powerful individuals frowned, as the earlier battle clearly had Luo Tong losing. Was he really not going to admit it? In the demonic realm, strength is revered, and Luo Tong's defeat was undeniable. Making any excuses would only bring scorn. Brother Luo Tong. Tung Feng noticed the various looks directed their way and hesitated. If Luo Tong lost control and attacked, it would ruin their Mang Mountain's reputation. Luo Tong's face twisted with anger. His murderous intent seemed almost tangible, but reason held him back. He took a deep breath, his trembling body slowly calming. The 5 rounds in the heavenly arena are over. Our 4-elephant palace has 2 wins and a draw. The final result should be a tie. You don't have any objections to this, do you? Lin Dong said calmly. A tie was already extremely satisfactory for the Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander and others. Though they were reincarnation stage experts themselves, they were relatively weaker than the 5 kings of the Mang Mountain. Furthermore, the Mang Mountain had formidable relics, which made direct confrontation unwise. Lin Dong had managed to turn the tide when they were sure to lose, which was a delightful surprise. Victory had never been their goal. After all, the 5 kings of the Mang Mountain were not easy opponents. Even Lin Dong had fought with all his might to change the outcome. Compared to the delight of Lin Dong and the others, Luo Tong and his companions looked incredibly grim. The fact that the newly established 4-elephant palace could tie with Mang Mountain was absurd and would surely cause laughter if spread. But they had no choice and had to accept the unsatisfying result amid countless astonished gazes. If you accept it, then this heavenly arena match is over, and you Mang Mountain folks should return to where you came from. From now on, this beast combat domain will belong to our 4-elephant palace. Lin Dong smiled at Luo Tong and his group, though his current appearance made that smile somewhat unsettling. Who are you to say that? Tung Hua raged. If you're not convinced, I'm willing to fight you again. Lin Dong, this time we at the Mang Mountain underestimated you. But do you really think this will allow your 4-elephant palace to rival the power of my Mang Mountain? Don't forget, behind Mang Mountain stands the mighty 9 Phoenix clan. Tung Feng said coldly, his eyes shadowed with gloom. Indeed, although their match at the heavenly arena ended in a draw this time, Mang Mountain's overall strength surpasses that of the 4-elephant palace. Moreover, they have a formidable behemoth backing them up. If Mang Mountain finds another excuse to launch an offensive, what could the 4-elephant palace do? Without a powerful backing for protection, such a fragile alliance as the 4-elephant palace could be shattered with a single blow. You may have the 9 Phoenix clan at Mang Mountain, but we at the 4-elephant palace have the Dragon clan, Lin Dong said casually, his eyelids drooping slightly. Dragon clan? Luo Tong and the others paused, and then a mocking smile crept onto their faces as they glanced at the Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander. Could it be you're referring to the 6-winged flying dragon that doesn't really count as a true member of the Dragon clan? The Heavenly Dragon Demon Commander's expression turned vicious under their gaze. But just as he was about to burst with anger, Lin Dong gently patted his shoulder, uninterested in wasting words with Luo Tong and the others. With a firm grip, a purple gold dragon seal appeared, emanating a peculiar pressure that spread out. I am the newly appointed punishment elder of the Dragon clan. Does anyone still have comments? Lin Dong's calm voice resonated in the air. Not only did Luo Tong and the others fall silent immediately, but even the plains below became abruptly quiet as all eyes froze, staring at Lin Dong holding the dragon seal aloft. The punishment elder of the Dragon clan? You must be joking. The mockery on Luo Tong and the others' faces gradually solidified as they dumbly stared at the penalty seal in Lin Dong's hand. Soon disbelief clouded their eyes. From that seal, they sensed an extremely mighty pressure, distinctly from the Dragon clan. It was indeed the true penalty seal of the Dragon clan, an item only a punishment elder within the clan was entitled to possess. How could this be? Luo Tong muttered to himself. He was well aware of the standing a punishment elder held within the Dragon clan. Just below the head of the clan, such a position of absolute authority would never be given to a mere human. But then he recalled the Dragon clan martial arts Lin Dong had displayed earlier and the ancient, pure Dragon clan aura emanating from him. Such aura was not something an ordinary Dragon clan expert could possess, not even some of the elders. What exactly is this kid's relationship with the Dragon Clan? Bewilderment and suspicion filled Luo Tong's heart. If this were true, it would be a considerable problem. The status of a punishment elder in the Dragon Clan far surpassed his own within the Nine Phoenix Clan. This realization made Luo Tong's head ache. Clearly, for the sake of 14 Palace, the Nine Phoenix Clan wouldn't want to provoke a Dragon Clan punishment elder. Although the Nine Phoenix Clan did not fear the Dragon Clan, it wouldn't be worth the cost. Luo Tong's expression continuously shifted until it turned into a resigned gloom. Regardless, getting back at them today was no longer possible, and with the 4 Palace now backed by the Dragon Clan, they would no longer fear them at the Mang Mountain. Fine, this time we admit defeat, Luo Tong said, taking a deep breath before stretching out his hand and gritting his teeth. Return the 4 immortal suppressing pillars, and we'll withdraw our forces from Mang Mountain. Hearing this, Lin Dong's expression turned peculiar. Then he offered a faint smile to the livid Luo Tong and shook his head. No. The idea of easily handing over something in his possession was laughable. Otherwise, all their struggles this time would have been for naught. Splurt. Facing Lin Dong's smile, Luo Tong was so filled with suppressed rage that he couldn't hold back and spat out a mouthful of blood.